Come with me, I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave, my head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited, every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I feel amazing, I feel so resilient. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I feel so amazing, I feel so resilient.
Welcome to the Chundria Brownlow Show. I'm your host, Dr. Chundria Brownlow, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to another powerful episode. Today, we're celebrating bold leadership, creative evolution, and Black excellence across industries, from film to cybersecurity. First up, I sit down with Dr. Brely Evans, the award-winning actress we know and love from hit TV series and films like The Family Business, Ambitions, and Mind Your Business. She's now making her directorial debut with the new Chicago-based film, Divided, and she's doing it with purpose, creating a talent pipeline that empowers aspiring actors to break into the industry. We'll talk about her evolution, her calling, and why now is the time to pour into others. Then we'll shift gears with Candice Scarborough, a powerhouse in cybersecurity and tech leadership. She's leading conversations around innovation, risk, and inclusion across sectors while helping create space for more women and BIPOC voices in tech. So whether you're building your dream or breaking barriers in your own field, this episode is for you. Get to know Dr. Brely Evans, actress, author, producer, director, and entrepreneur. With a career spanning film, television, and stage, she continues to inspire audiences with her talent, vision, and passion for storytelling.
I've been a fan of yours since Just Right.
Oh, wow.
When
Yes.
you were like, here's courtside tickets coming my way.
Dr. Brely Evans, welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I am fantastic.
Yes, you are. It's been a joy to watch your career. I'm really enjoying you and Mind Your Business right now.
Thank you. We had such a good time shooting it, so I hope it's transcendent.
And I want to know if Mia, because Mia's character is so witty and raw and like on it, do you feel like, is that your personality you bring into that role?
I feel like it's a lot of Mia is me. I am the consummate best friend. You know, I am a really good best friend, and I feel like that's why I get a lot of these roles where I play the best friend, because that's who I am in real life. But Mia is a little bit, out there, outspoken, and is down for her friends. So that's most certainly who I am in real life.
Awesome. I love that. All right, let's talk about this directorial debut, because the credits are endless, right? You've been acting for a really long time. You have a lot of amazing credits. You've perfected your craft, and now you've leaned into directing your directorial debut. It's a project called Divided. Looks like you just wrapped that up right here in Chicago, so congratulations on that. What inspired you to step behind the camera? Was this always the plan all along?
A lot of my directors have told me, hey, I think you should direct. And I'm like, really? And I think it's a big job, right? I'm like, I don't know about it. But what happened, honestly, is I teach in between acting. So when I'm in between shows, when Family Business is down or Mind Your Business, and I'm not shooting either of the two of those, I have this downtime where I feel like it's my time to give back. So if you go to my website, BrelyEvans.com, you will see there that I have a host of classes, one-on-ones, because I want people to know at least what I know so that they can be greater than myself. So as I'm teaching, and it's called everything they don't teach you in acting class, which is hilarious because I literally teach the business. I think there's enough courses out there that's teaching you how to break down a script, how to emote, how to use the techniques in your body. There's not enough classes telling you about how to get to the money. So that's what I provide. I provide how you sustain yourself as an actor in this business. So I'm doing that, and I happened to reach out to some of my students and said, how's it going? How's auditioning? Are you booking any roles? I want to know what they're doing. And they said, no, we don't have resumes. They're asking us for reels, and we don't have those things because Nobody's hiring us. So I decided to be the answered prayer. So my movie making masterclass was born. I decided I would put together films where my students could be successful in roles that are tailor fit to them, so that there will be no question on that performance being hot, right? So that they would have something to use for their reel. They would also have a line item for their resume. So I started doing the master classes, and this first movie, Divided, was the first one. We had 37 actors in this film.
Wow, 37 actors. So this was your way to give back, to create opportunity. And I know this had to be a really rewarding feeling to be the first one to give them that opportunity, because you gave them the tools, I give you the resources, I give you the gold, but now you need a place to apply that. Because that's the second half we don't talk about enough. We can, no matter what industry you're in, you can learn all of the things, but where am I supposed to put this and apply this, those opportunities? Why Chicago?
Well, Chicago, because I have two amazing business partners, Jay Stovall and Chris Searcy. They were my production team, and they said, yo, sis, we got you. We'll shoot your film here. And so they actually came in and gave me the beginnings of Divided. They said, we also have a film idea. I took a read of it. I jumped in on the writing, and it was over with. So we wrote it, produced it right there in Chicago, because that's their hometown, and we were blessed with a lot of resources there, right? So I have a lot of resources in California and Atlanta, but they had Chicago on lock. So we were able to go to some churches there. We had office buildings, homes, and just everywhere we needed to pull this off. So Chicago, I am forever like in love with Chicago for just showing up for us. The city really showed up.
I'm not only really fascinated by the fact that you did this, that you gave
in 5 days. In 5 days.
5 days. That's mind blowing. My gosh. But then when I think about how you tailored it to each actor, so what did you ask them, like what ideal role they wanted, or how did you figure out the perfect opportunity?
Well, we had two opportunities. Either you could join the class by joining the class, which for sure you a speaking role. That's one thing about my class. You get in that movie making master class, oh, you in the movie. It's not just walking by. You're not an extra. So if you're in the class, we know your strengths because you've been studying with us. And then if you auditioned in, was a second way to do it, we knew where to place you.
Okay, that makes sense. So actress turned director. I'm certain this isn't the last time you're going to do this.
Oh, no, we're gearing up for the next one right now.
Okay. And where would that take place? Where would that be filmed? There
so right now, it's looking like Atlanta. It's looking like Atlanta's going to be the next hotspot.
Oh, I love that. Atlanta's a great market to go to. So you've made this journey, actress to director. You're still acting, so the work doesn't stop. You're still teaching. Now you're directing, you're writing, you're doing all these amazing things. And I know it hasn't been easy because you have a lengthy career. How has your faith shaped that evolution for you and given you really courage, not only to embrace new lanes in your career, but also inspire others?
Can I tell you this? Without faith, in putting your faith to use, you really have nothing. I didn't realize that I had been coasting for a very long time. I really feel like almost 20 years of doing real good right here, right? But when I took that leap of faith to produce and direct, I felt like a new booty again. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm at the bottom. I got to learn this craft. That's a whole nother craft. And it was very humbling. And it also caused me to have to use my faith. I had faith, but I don't know if I was using it necessarily, because I got to a point where work was just coming in for me left and right. So I'm good. I can take care of myself. I can do those things. But if I am honest, I'm so glad I took this leap of faith, because it caused me to lean on God even more, to say, okay, Lord, how are we going to pay for this? Okay, Lord, we got to get these locations down. Like, it was really something to have to be new again. So I encourage everybody, don't get stuck. Even if you feel like you're on top in the industry, go and find something else to add to yourself, because it is very humbling, and it's also very freeing to jump off the cliff again and know what it feels like to be going down. But then God puts that parachute up, and you know that you cannot fail.
Absolutely. Now, performing has been on your heart for a really long time. It makes me curious about little Brely and what
Little
was
bit.
into because your roots started in music. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Image was my first record deal with a group called Image, Emage. Go to YouTube, pull up our first single, The Choice Is Yours. And can I just give a shout out to the gentleman who produced our first record, the music to it. His name was Hitman Howie T, and he recently passed away in the last couple of days. And just to know that he did all of those club bangers in the 90s, Special Ed, and Chub Rock, like all the Salt and Pepper, like all those beats you heard, that's the same guy who produced our first single, and he recently passed away, so I just really want to give it up to him. And to my bandmates, to both Tara and Micah. Like, we were three girls out of Oakland that had a dream, and shout out to Drez from Black Sheep, who saw us walking down the street, and we weren't even singing. He just thought we were cute. And so I said, look at God. He thought we were cute, and we were able to sing for him and end up getting a record deal. So life has been magical, with living by my gifts since day one, to be honest.
Love that. And what would little Brely say now if she could see adult version of Brely doing all these incredible things?
Little Brad would be like, I knew it. I knew it. Because I used to tell my mom, I want to be famous. I'm going to have butlers and maids. She'd be like, girl, you're going to go get a job. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is, I knew it, and I believe all kids know it. I really do. And I think that a part of parenting is seeing what your child leans towards and then just doing your best to be that momager or that papager to make sure that they are getting that support to grow. That's how we have Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. That's how we have Venus and Serena. That's how we have Tiger Woods, is because their parents saw something and nurtured it. So I'm blessed that my family caught on a little later, like, because I had my mom and dad driving me to all kind of rehearsals. Oh, I'm in a play. I got to go sing here. I need to go there. And so they were like, oh my God, they gave me a car at 15 and the keys. Here you go. Bye. Take yourself. So they knew early on that I was going to be in the arts, but they didn't know I would take it this far.
I'm so proud of you. And I'm just
Thank you.
Planet, just congratulations and thanks for sharing your gift with the world, because you could just get your check, go to set, and come home and eat your dinner and call it a day, but you continue to use your voice to speak out and let people know, like, it's okay to have a dream and it's okay to go after it fervently. It's okay to have faith. You gotta have faith. That's kind of complementary to your goals. So you're leading by example every day, whether you're on set or whether you're mentoring this new generation of talent, and I think that's really admirable. And I'm curious of, like, what now, present day, what's driving that mission, and how are you staying grounded after spending so many years in Hollywood, because a lot of people don't have different experiences than you have.
What success is to me is not how much I accomplish. What success is to me is how many people can I put on. And that's success to me. My son is 18 now. He said, Mom, I don't want to go to college. I want to act. I was like, let's do it. So, of course, he's in Divided. He's in that movie, too. He plays Malik. He has booked his next film already that shoots in Los Angeles coming up in next week. So it's success to me is how many people can I give this dream to? Can I help ignite their way? I just got off of a Zoom. I do one-on-ones with up-and-coming actors to get them on their way, set a plan. Like, this is an entrepreneurship situation. Like, being an actor, you are starting a new business. So I have to get them set up and get their business set up, making sure they have the materials, make sure they're taking the right classes. There's a lot that goes into this. So I enjoy being a mentor. They call me Coach Brely, and that's cool too. I'll be your coach. And I realized that no champion of any sport did it on their own. They had a mentor, they had a coach. You've never seen a basketball team without a coach. You've never seen a football team without a coach. Same thing for acting. You need to get people in your corner fighting for you and what you want from behind the scenes. And that's why I choose not to be a manager and not to be an agent. Like, I manage my son, but that's just because it's the momager in me, right? But as far as, like, being someone's mentor, I want to give what I know. And I think that's what my success is going to be, is those who will be able to say, Brely Evans put me on.
I believe in divine intervention, and if somebody is watching this and they want to get into performing arts, film, television, media, etc., and they're interested in taking any of your classes or your coaching, or even just experiencing what it's like to be on set, is there a way, who are you looking for this time around, or how can they get on the next wave?
I'm looking for people who are committed to the craft. You say you want to do this, you've been saying it for a long time, you're a little scared to, jump out there. I'm here to hold your hand to get it done. Like, let's get it done. Let's not only learn the craft, respect the language of the craft, get in there, be presentable on set, be wonderful to work with, but also be bomb at what you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to push people out into this industry that they're like, ooh, where did they come from? And they're like, oh, I came from Brely. No, don't use my name, So I want to get, happy, rounded, people into this industry. So if that calls your name, then go to BrelyEvans.com and sign up. Get a one-on-one with me so that we can talk about what your goal is, what your future looks like, It's an interesting thing because, being an actor, your time is really the industry's time. Like, it's so funny because every time my girlfriends and I book a trip, I book a movie or a TV show. So I'm like, oops, I can't go, y'all. So, what are you willing to give for this opportunity? So follow me on all social media platforms, please. I even put it, down on the screen there because I want to be your mentor. I want to be that for anybody who has that little, maybe you say, I don't want to be an actor. I want to do it one time. I'm okay with that because you might get bit by the bug just trying it. But I want to make sure you have the tools and the language to be successful.
Wow, what a beautiful reminder from Dr. Brely Evans that purpose and legacy go hand in hand. Her ability to lead and lift others is truly inspiring. And now we'll head into the world of technology, where Candice Scarborough is making power moves in cybersecurity, strategy, and equity. Candice Scarborough, welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful today. How about yourself?
Great, thank you so much. Where in the world are you at?
I'm located in Maryland, in a small town called Laurel, Maryland, which is probably about 20 minutes south of Baltimore, probably another 25 minutes north of DC. So,
are you an East Coast girl through and through?
Absolutely. I've been here my entire life. I love to travel, so I love to travel and go West Coast and go all over the place, but I always want to be East Coast for home. Always want to call that home.
Oh, awesome. All right, let's chat about you today. So I know you're the director of cybersecurity and software engineering. Kudos to you.
Thank
you. And
you.
Your career spans, like I said, cybersecurity, software engineering, and then also tech leadership, which are three really demanding spaces. And I'm assuming they're three still very male-dominated spaces.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm curious, what initially drew you into this field?
People would ask me this question. I would say, I've always known that I wanted to be in tech and cybersecurity. And so immediately when I started applying to schools, I said, computer science, that's what I want to do. And that's always been my interest. It wasn't until a few years ago I started kind of working through this workshop that I do, which is breaking down your origin story, because to help you find kind of your why. And I realized my journey in tech started when I was very young. My mom is a single mom, and so she spent a lot of time, she worked for, back then it was cable companies. She worked for TCI, which is a predecessor to AT&T, predecessor to Comcast, right? So back when pay-per-view was new and the hot thing. And when my mom had to be on call for pay-per-view runnings, normally it was boxing fights and matches like that, I would go into work with her. And I remember one year it was the Evander Holyfield fight, and everything was down. All the pay-per-view channels were down. Nothing was working. And my mom is it's, a midnight. We're trying to get pay-per-view back up because the title fight's about to start. She's freaking out. And I'm in the office with her, and she's running back to the mainframes, and she's having me type, commands on the command line. And then I'm running to the other room to see if the pay-per-view's up. And I realized my tech journey began when I was really young, kind of in the trenches with my mom, kind of helping her navigate new technology and innovation. And I realized even at that age, when I was around 10 years old, I had this idea for I love solving problems. I love finding creative solutions. And in that moment, I remember being in that room with her, and it was so much fun, like troubleshooting the issues. And so ultimately, when it was time for me to go into college, I just said, hands down, I want to be, a technologist. I want to solve hard tech problems. And that's where the journey began. My career has taken so many twists and turns over the years. One of the things I'll say is that every problem I approach with curiosity, and I try to leave things better than I found them. And I think that's what's kind of led my tech journey, right? Going to different jobs and going to different companies and saying, this is an interesting problem. This is a space that I want to affect change in. I'm super curious. How can I help? And that's how my entire tech journey has kind of navigated over the years, from, being a junior software engineer to eventually being what is now a tech director, where I have multiple teams that function underneath me.
Wow. Well, kudos to you. Congrats to you. I mean, I what I love about that story is that you kind of had that spark early on, and shout out to your mom for even being an example for you, but then also deep in your innate power, like you were drawn to it, like a moth to a flame, because you could have been in the corner like, oh my God, can we go? Like, can I go home? Can I stay home? But you were trying to support mom, which shows like the beauty of your relationship with your mom. But then also secondarily, like something happened, something that day shifted for you, it sounds like, and you were drawn to the resolution part of it, but then the tech part of it is a really big part of it as well. Like, we're dating ourselves talking about some pay-per-view fights, but but that's also a testament that you've been around to watch technology evolve over and over and over. Technology's evolved even from 5 years ago, so if we're talking about decades ago, I think that's really, really spirited of you to like draw on that experience that you had with your mom and like recall that spark that you first had, and we talk a lot about inclusion in tech, right? And there are companies that are actively building more inclusive teams across their organizations, correct? But what does inclusive innovation look like to you in action? Because you've been a part of the evolution of it. So what does inclusivity look like in technology, in the culture?
I think, and over the years it's changed drastically. But like, given one example right now where we are trying to really figure out who we are as a culture in the awakening of artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? We're in the middle of it. One thing that I tell people is that artificial intelligence and machine learning is dated, it's old. It's just the masses didn't have access to it at their fingertips like we do now with the Chat GPTs and the Bards and the Gemini. But like, one of the things about inclusive innovation, right, is how do we bring a lot of voices to the table when we're deciding to build these platforms that are based on AI? How do we make sure that every person in the room is represented so that the AI isn't doing things that are inherently showing bias? Because AI models are built on the people that train them, on the data sets that train them. So if we're using biased data sets, then we're going to have biased solutions. We're going to have solutions that, I've worked in different spaces where, face detection solutions aren't great on people of color with, black and brown skin, right? So how do we make sure that we are using data sets that are inclusive? When we're training the models, are all ethnicities and races represented? When we're going through and doing compliance and checking the models to make sure that they're not doing something disproportionate or making judgments that are disproportionate based on biased data, how do we make sure that we have all, economical conditions represented, racial, ethnic, in our data sets and in our training? I remember distinctly working for, a banking system that was using AI and machine learning to look for fraudulent activity or fraudulent charges. And the models that were being used in that banking system disproportionately identified low economic areas as areas that there appeared to be more fraudulent activity. And it wasn't because that was truly the case. It was because they had minimal data to train the models on. So how do we represent and how do we show, spending patterns for all people, not just people who are affluent and have more access to credit, right? So innovation and trying to build diversity in just means, in my standpoint, everyone should have a seat at the table. Everyone should discuss the security, the compliance, and there should be representations from all of the different factions of what we think of as diversity. So gender, ethnicity, race, age, people with disabilities, right? They all need a seat at the table when we're planning and building these systems, so that there's not something that I overlook because I'm perfectly capable of walking. But if I had just included someone in there that had a physical disability, they would have seen all over the place red flags with the solution we were building. Things like that, making sure there's active representation when we're building.
Sure. You brought up a point, like platforms like ChatGPT and things like that. And it makes me think about how, like, we solve a problem, the technological advancement is created to solve a problem, and then it sometimes creates a new problem. Kind of like the boom of online banking, like it solved a problem where people don't want to go to the bank. People want to be able to access their money from wherever they are in the world. I want to make that transfer, that deposit. I don't want to go into the bank, and it solved the problem. But then you had the fraud alerts go up. You have people logging into your account and getting your account numbers out of your phone. And so it's just like we take these steps forward.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it feels like we take 2 steps forward, and then I won't say we take 2 steps back, but it feels like we take a little step back, and then we have to recover from that. And so in just speaking with about cybersecurity and innovation, and sometimes it seems like it's always clashing to me, but how can leaders like you balance that need for agility and creativity while you're managing risk?
I think the biggest thing is just to realize that even though something sounds like it's going to be a great solution, we have to look at it from all angles. Like you're saying, online banking, super convenient. It's convenient for those people who can't make it to the bank, who work, hours, banking hours, where that's inside of their working hours, right? So we're opening up access, but then that access unfettered, makes it, an attack surface for us. So we have to balance that. So if we're going to give unlimited access, how do we make sure that we build more security and practices in place that we didn't think of before we had this online access? It's a delicate dance you have to do. So paired with every innovation idea is all the compliance and security requirements right there at the same time. It's not after the fact. It's not after we discover there's an issue or we've exposed something. It's while we're building it. We need to bring those people in, those risk experts in, and have them have a seat at the table that could say, wait, that sounds really good. But, if we're using, AI to process loan applications, where are our pitfalls? Where is the data going to be biased or lead to gaps? And how do we make sure that we don't open ourselves up for government sanctions because we're, disproportionately turning down applications for a socioeconomic set of people, right? Like, who is at the table when we build that? So it is a delicate balance. It's a very delicate dance, and you just have to build the right team around you that scrutinizes as much as they're going to encourage, the creativity and the ideas. We also need that same level of scrutiny on that idea.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Chundria Brownlow Show. Until next time, keep believing in your voice and keep leading with purpose.
Come with me, I'm headed down the right path.